Hello, YouTube. I want to give you my short deconversion story regarding my exit from religion. It started way back when I was growing up. I was in church youth group, and a lot of what what we talked about other religions and things like that. And the book we read was called "So What's the Difference?" You can still find it on Amazon fairly cheap. And unfortunately, the book is not very well written and poor research in places. In some cases, the author was actually lying. The reason I know this is because my mother was a Jehovah's Witness. She was a Jehovah's Witness for many years before I even knew. Um, we happened to be reading this book, and when she saw it, she took me to a Jehovah's Witness meeting. They called it the Lord's Evening Meal right around Easter or Christmas, if I remember correctly. And what they said in the book wasn't true about Jehovah's Witnesses at all. They claim that Jehovah's Witnesses do not follow the law, but that's completely wrong since we all know that Protestant Christians are overrepresented in the prison population. You have maybe 0.01 Jehovah's Witnesses in there at most. Granted, they're a small part of the population, but it's obviously they're following the law. And they also made claims about Islam, which was completely false. They said that they're called Mohammedans, which they're not. That they consider Jesus not to be a prophet, which is false. Anyways, in reading this book, my aunt, who was ran the church youth group, she extolled the virtues of our specific group of Christianity, while pretty much denigrating every other one, including Catholicism. She's had a real hatred for that religion for some reason. I think it's primarily the authoritarian structure of it and how you have to have special people interpret God's word to you. I think that really made her not too happy with it. My grandmother, she was a JW, I think primarily because her father was a drunk and abusive towards other people. And so she also had a near-death experience while getting surgery on her stomach, which she had to do over 8 times in her life, if I remember correctly. She said that after she came out of it, she saw a butterfly flying around outdoors, and it was like God talking to her that it didn't matter what religion you were in as long as you were a good person. That's how she describes her experience. Anyways, this book, if you read it now, if you know anything about religion in general, you can spot the flaws right away. And it was my first step onto atheism and onto my current skepticism. Also, I went through a period shortly after Christianity where I went through kind of a weird paganism, where I believed in astral projection and all that other crap. I even have a copy of the old Astral Dynamics book by Robert Monroe. I think it's the first edition. I wonder if that's actually worth anything. I remember I tried to read and make sense of it, and it was just so convoluted, it made absolutely no sense whatsoever. I mean, the first chapter makes a little bit of sense. You get to the second chapter, it's like you start talking about mind splitting and reality fragmentation and all this other nonsense they just made up on the spot. Of course, no way to test any of this either. And it was after watching Penn and Teller's bullshit that I finally found Mr. Randy's website and his organization. I realized there's a completely different way of life. You don't have to accept things based on authority. And I still count Mr. Randy as one of my heroes, which you can tell from my playlist. Of course, lately I've been accused of, not being open-minded and being, a cynic. At least I don't agree with someone else's nonsense that they believe. Like, I had a Christian apologist just recently try to laugh at me because I was a fan of Mr. Randy's, but I didn't accept his beliefs as they were, which, of course, being the arrogant apologist that he was, he considered himself to be more educated than anyone else and better informed, which kind of, if you're talking in the mainstream sense. Anyways, that's my short story regarding my deconversion.